Uh, I want to start with a couple of things that my guest has reminded me of. I want to start with the word vagabond. Uh, when I met her for the first time, she mentioned this word. I remember this word from school, and it has been one of my favorite words. Uh, Although I have not done much vagabonding, again, I am more of an armchair vagabond kind of guy, letting my mind loose rather than uh, traveling and seeing places. Another word that I remember is the word khana badosh, which is vagabond in Urdu, which is from uh, I think the movie Hina by Raj Kapoor, where they seem to be a kabila, what is called a kabila. So they keep traveling from one place to another. The third thing is a complete contrast to what I remembered before I was setting up for this podcast. Uh, there used to be a Marathi poem which was about this guy who had a hut which people could come and go. So there was these two lines, Yeta tari sukheya, jata tari sukheja, konavali na boja, ya jopadi tamaja, which effectively means you can come and go whenever you feel like. You are not a burden on anyone. And this is my humble abode. You can use it as your own. These feelings are very nascent and have been very important to me. There's one more example that comes to mind. There was a book called Going Beyond the Dreadlocks on the life of sadhus. I think it was by a guy called Patrick Levy. And the whole notion of you don't have to stop in one place. You keep traveling. Sadhus are not supposed to be in one place because then they build an identity around that and then they start attachments to that identity and people. So there is one particular episode in that book where the senior sadhu is teaching this guy who's written the book. They've just managed to do something miraculous in that particular village. And those guys are very happy. They want them to settle down there so that they are always part of their lives. And the senior says, no, nothing doing. You'll just get up and go. So they don't hold on to their success in a certain way. All these examples are about a state of mind that one doesn't even hear about these days. I have been lucky in the last couple of days. My Insta has been hacked, my personal Insta and the values workshop. All has been going on, and I've been very peaceful about it. But somebody or the other triggers me and says, "Okay, how about trying this?" And I've been doing this, and I've been buying a verified badge, and I've been trying to somebody, and it is much more painful to try and regain something that is seemingly going out of my hand. What has been painful is obviously that it has also affected a lot of other friends who clicked on the same link that the hacker seemed to have sent, and I have no control over it, and it's painful. But again, it is something that I cannot control, and this whole idea of just coming to peace where you are and just accepting, it is a small death, but it's a manageable thing. I'm still alive in some form, and I can recreate, I can revisit, I can reinvest. So all these things don't seem to have time. We are on the instant solutions to everything. And the vagabonding part reminds me of a time where you are not holding on to anything. You just let it pass, and you either physically or mentally you visit new places, uh, allow the discomfort of that place or the comfort of that place to recreate you. And I think that is enough of an introduction for something that I would want my guest to speak about, who's a vagabond and a very, very passionate mother, as I have come to understand in one or two chats that I've had with her. Welcome to the show, Deepa.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Uh, I will start with the negative. Although I've said a lot of positive things about vagabonding, I find people who give travel a lot of importance are not peaceful. This is one of the things that I have. It is not necessarily correct, But one of the things is, why can't you be where you are and be at peace with who you are?
Hmm.
How do you respond to something like that?
It actually depends on your priorities, right? I mean, if you're okay and peaceful at where you are, then you don't need to travel. But I think today, travel more than luxury has become a necessity because of two things. One is primarily Instagram, because it keeps throwing you those travel reels and keeps telling you that if you've not gone here, then your life is, your life is a complete waste if you're not traveling. I mean, that is one thing why the travel industry has boomed. And second is also, I think, because of the lifestyle we live in. I feel हमारे पेरेंट्स को ज्यादा ट्रैवलिंग की या फिर रिट्रीट्स की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती थी because their life in a way was very organic. They didn't need to go to a massage therapy to have, to have retreats or have rejuvenation. No, their life itself, like smallest things, मेथी साफ करना भी एक मेडिटेशन है जो आजकल हमको साफ किया हुआ मिलता है या फिर जो मेड आती है वो करती है लाइक स्मॉल थिंग्स इवन स्वीपिंग स्वैपिंग यूटेंसिल्स एवरीथिंग little things that we do used to create a harmony in our body in some way but today we are only in front of screens and which is why we are not working with our hands with our limbs with our mind and I also feel that every device that is made smart is only making us dumber and dumber.
Hmm.
So, and that is why I feel that being at peace, like you said, that you will realize only when you give some time to yourself. Because ये ऐसे होता है कि अच्छा वो एवरेस्ट चढ़ रहा है चलो मैं भी चढ़ जाती हूँ वो स्विट्जरलैंड चल रहा है चलो मुझे भी जाना है हम नहीं सोचते कि हमें कहाँ जाना है so I don't think it's the perspective per se generally but it depends on a person as such where
Okay.
you are.
Uh, आपको कहाँ जाना है?
मुझे तो जाना है एवरेस्ट मतलब not the summit but EBCS.
Yes. Um, what do you find when you travel? What is it that has touched you? I'm not looking for a generic answer. I'm trying to figure out what is it that comes to your heart in the deepest place when you travel. Anything, a story or an episode that you can share, which where you came home to yourself, kind of thing.
So there are many. What traveling has really taught me is being at peace with what. And also, I've seen that because I travel in rural areas, the people there are very beautiful. It has taught me to trust more. After four, they were very humble people, very hand to mouth situation. They're not very, well to do. Fair enough.
Hmm.
They're not very well to do, but content with what we have. And after 3 days, we had to leave. And when I had to leave, I had to make a payment. And usually I do not carry much cash, so it had to be a GPay. And because it was a remote location, I couldn't make a payment over there. He was already down because we had to do a small trek. So he was helping to get the luggage down, and he was already there. So I was just on my way down and I said that I'm not able to do the payment and I had to tell him this. He didn't even come and ask me when are you going to make the payment, how is it going to happen. I just told him that it's not happening. I will do it on the way once I get the range. And he was like, yeah, yeah, that's fine. मतलब it was least of his concerns कि and मुझे पता है कि हम वहाँ पे रह के गए हैं खा के गए हैं so I am sure he needs that money but he was okay. He was just okay. And I realized that जितना हमारे पास कम होता है, we are not afraid to give. पर हमारे पास जितना ज्यादा होता है, उतने ही हम और होल्ड करने लगते हैं चीजें is what I've realized. I mean, if I look at city people and when I go to these remote places, generally, of course, there are exceptions and good people everywhere, but this is what I've seen. When they have little, they are okay to share everything. Like we go trekking to the mountains, not everywhere we are able to inform that we are coming. बट वो अगर चार रोटी खा रहे हैं तो हमें दो रोटी शेयर कर लेते हैं दे वुडंट थिंक twice. They know that for them to make a roti it's not like किराना की दुकान से आटा लेके आओ उनको बहुत नीचे जाना पड़ता है लेके आना पड़ता है it's a lot of work for them but they don't hesitate sharing their food with us and not even expecting money so they do it out of humanity वो अभी भी चीजें जिंदा है so these things really give me joy because I think life may, wherever money comes in, everything becomes very transactional. You do it only because you're getting money in return. But when you do it because you want to do it, that is a different feeling altogether.
Are you being too idealistic?
Mhm.
As in, okay, let me give a different perspective to it. People are who they are. My generic belief is that most people don't sit down planning to hurt somebody else, even in cities. The idea of scarcity or the idea of survival or coming out on top is ingrained in us in some manner because we sense I need to take care of myself for sure. There is that fear. I don't necessarily dislike Deepa or want to get in her way. I am just clear that I need to ensure that I am not harmed. So I don't see it as a problem per se. Yes, I don't agree with the fear itself about anything, including the fear of survival. But it is the part of everyday life, and so that makes us act very unnaturally and do things which may seem to antagonize the other, whoever the other is, one person, one organization, the government, or whosoever. That fear is what is driving me. And I see that and I accept that, and it's okay. If you don't know better, you don't know better. The first person you are harming is yourself, anyways, because you are not happy about the effort to create conflict, if I were to call it that. So, my question to you, when you are describing this, is it being too idealistic in a world which has what it has? What can be done?
Right, but I really think this is also why it is because there is no full stop to what you want. The wants are never ending. I have a 1 BHK, then I want a 2 BHK. I have one car, then I have two cars. So the wants are never ending, which is why the conflict is always there, right? मेरे पास दो गाड़ी होती है तो भी मुझे ऐसा लगता है चलो अभी बड़ी गाड़ी ले लो. So what I really feel in this era is we're just running without a full stop. And most of the times the running is not because you want it is because you want to show it to the society. Because चार लोगों के काम because like you just said, right? It's more about your identity. When you introduce also, I mean, being so attached to something. So whenever you go for parties also, you might have seen, or any gathering, how do people introduce themselves? Hi, I work, I am so and so, I am a VP with Reliance, I am so and so, I am this. I mean, their degree or their position in their organization is a major identity for them. The moment they feel, and which is why the fear of losing something is more because they've attached themselves so much to it.
Okay. Um, is there a point where you had any kind of discomfort while you were traveling and something interesting happened that made you change your perspective? Obviously, you've just given one little episode like that only, but this is still a very uh, quote unquote superficial because I will explain superficial because I want to give a context. Not that the story is bad, it's fairly normal. A lot of us have experienced this. Even within cities, I think the poor people will do this for you much more than the rich people might or might not. Obviously, there are exceptions, but this is more about a mind space that I want to explore. So, you were uncomfortable at some point, and then some kind of realization happened. It could be you with yourself also. It need not have a second person or something.
Uh, More about finding yourself through your discomforts.
Maybe.
Um, I think it's the same as I usually do. But it's just made me more resilient. But I can't think of a particular instance that made me more resilient as such. But traveling consistently made me more resilient and adaptable to conditions.
So, can you tell us some ideas of adapting means what? Resilient about what?
Adapting for me would be simply, I know that many of the people that would travel with me, for them food is very important. Because the major crowd that I travel with is Gujarati. So उनके लिए to travel without the thepla is very difficult. So, and I feel that when you're going to a place, if you're taking your safeguards along, that's like a safety net for me and even for the kids. So they know that if not anything, I am going to eat the thepla. So why should I even try the cuisine? Because the moment you go to remote places like you go to remote Ladakh, तो वहाँ पे एक soup मिलता है for breakfast, which is a barley soup, which is served with butter, which is very heavy, and they serve barley dumplings with it. So this is specially served because it is very cold outside, and barley and butter together helps you keep warm in the cold days. That's like a patent breakfast for them. But not everybody was ready to try it. I gulped two bowls of the soup because I really found it very interesting. But I know that people with me resorted to, no, we just better have our thick lunch. ये हमसे नहीं खाया जाएगा. There are many places like that. So I think if you're traveling that way, then you are not coming out of your comfort. You are still holding on to your safety net. And more so because I travel with kids, I feel that then kids are also like that. So I have been traveling with my kids since they were 1.5 year old, maybe not remote travels, but those days it was because I wasn't very, what do you say, enlightened or whatever. I used to go to Thailand, I used to go to Malaysia or US or Dubai. So वहाँ पे भी I never carried food, though I'm a vegetarian. Thailand I didn't carry food. I was like they either eat tomatoes or kapadis or fruits. I mean, there is abundance of these things everywhere in the world. So if not anything, they will eat that and survive. So I think that is one thing that really makes people adaptable. क्योंकि खाना soul food, right? Everybody looks for घर का खाना everywhere. But yes, you get घर का खाना, but with a very different taste to it. So if you're able to leave that also for many, it is very discomforting.
Uh, you mentioned the food part of it. Uh, you are also a parent, a very passionate parent about um doing the right kind of parenting. Uh, has there been no fear कि अभी इनको लेके जा रही हूँ अब उधर खाना नहीं मिला तो सच में, because it is not one. So as an adult you can take a decision about yourself in a very mature fashion, knowing that there might be compromises that will happen. There might be uh, you might have to go hungry for a couple of more hours, then you get what you want. Being a vegetarian, like you said, and there are other things that might happen. So that call is comparatively easy to take. Like I have this stupid line that it is very easy to let go of your spouse because in your mind we are all adults, so we can all take care of ourselves. So you can fight, you can कंसाइल रिकंसाइल जो भी आराम से हो सकता है. बच्चे के साथ देर इज नो क्विक माने यू आर फार मोर केयरफुल. यू वांट टू माइक्रो मैनेज at least in the head. You can calm yourself down or whatever. As an Indian parent, I think it's a very common thing, and that's how we grew up or whatever we've been seeing other. Grew up तो नहीं बोल सकते अपन तो, we were thrashed and we understood. But how do you see this? I mean, how did you bring yourself as a mother and said कि चलो देख लेती हूँ क्या होगा?
To the contrary, what I've realized is adults find it difficult to adjust. They resist very easily if given them a choice and given them a chance. For example, like you said, we had just gone for a one-day trek in Kashmir, in the Yusmar करके एक जगह है, वहाँ पे interior में we had gone. It was just supposed to be a one-day trek. We went in the morning and we were supposed to come back in the evening. We were 20 of us, and suddenly I saw these mud houses on those meadows. So I asked my guide, can we not stay in one of those mud houses for one night? And he was a very cool guy. He was like, हाँ रह सकते हैं, कितने क्या है? मैं बोला सही है तो रहते हैं. And it was about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and we had to leave at 4. So I asked everybody कि किसको रहना है, and there were about 5 to 6 kids. उसमें से 2 मेरे ही थे. So सबने they said नहीं नहीं नहीं, and of the lot only 2 other ladies agreed for it. And so we were 3 ladies and 3 kids, and those kids were 6 years and 8 years. And we had no food because we had not planned for it. We thought हाँ खाना हो जाएगा because यहाँ पे घर है तो वो लोग कुछ तो खाते हैं ना, तो हमें भी कुछ तो मिल जाएगा. Of course we won't get a spread, but we'll get something. And then so we just had some Kashmiri roti and kava and some biryani they got from somewhere, and we could eat that. Next day again, because we were not planned, we had no food. We had to do an entire trek for 8 hours, and then we were going to be back only at night. We had no food. We carried only Maggie packets. तो हम जहाँ पे थे वहां से इन्होंने एक घोड़े को भेजा एक आदमी के साथ, and he went on that ghoda and got about 20 Maggie packets. We had that. We had no vessels because it wasn't planned. We started walking, walking, walking. We started walking at about 8 o'clock, only after eating those patla Kashmiri rotis and nothing else. We started walking. We were refilling those bottles even in the stream क्योंकि और तो कुछ था नहीं. हम एक बस्ती में पहुंचे, मैगी तो थी लेकिन पकड़ेंगे कहाँ? We did not have the utensils. हम एक बस्ती में पहुंचे 2 बजे. पता चला वहां पे अब तक बस्ती जमी नहीं है क्योंकि अभी तक वहां पे ठंड है. तो जहाँ पे हम टॉप में पहुंचे वहां पे अभी तक बस्ती नहीं जमी थी, एंड दीज पीपल आर डो नॉट हैव फोन दैट दे कैन कॉल एंड आस्क अच्छा आप लोग हो वहां पे, हम आ रहे हैं. नथिंग. वी हैड फ्यू बिस्किट पैकेट्स. वी हैड दैट इवन द किड्स फॉर सो मेनी आवर्स. एंड देन ही सेड हम लौटते वक्त और एक जगह पे जाते हैं. वी रीच देयर इन अनदर आवर. इट स्टार्टेड रेनिंग आल्सो. It didn't rain heavily, but it had started raining and it was quite chilly. Kids were all okay. And then, of course, they were also taking turns, like दो जने घोड़े पे होते थे, दो जन चलते थे, and they were taking turns in doing that. Then we reached a बस्ती. वहां पे हमको जो मैगी मिली और इन्होंने जो वो खाया है, मतलब गपा गप, we finished 12 packets of Maggie in just 2 minutes. We were just sick of. So they were okay, and still today, my kids rave about it. अरे यार वहां पे जो आशिफ भाई ने मैगी बनाई थी कितनी अच्छी थी. So I think I'm just giving them stories, and my son is a foodie. Just few days before he was remembering कि हम लोग जो उत्तराखंड ट्रैक में गए थे, ट्रैक से पहले बेस में हमने ढाबे पे जो आलू का, so they don't remember the five-star hotels or anything. What they remember is these memories. So they adapt. There is no problem in them adapting. It is the fear of parents. बच्चे नहीं खाएंगे. नहीं होता, बच्चे सब खा लेते. I mean, when my kids were very young, my pediatrician just told me one thing: trust your child. No child will ever go hungry. And which is why whenever, I mean, they started eating, since 6 months they have been eating on their own. I have never fed my kids. So that was one piece of mind. So my doctor was like, how much ever they are eating, let them eat. No child will go hungry. Just remember this. So I was like, I still follow that. I'm like, no child will go hungry. एक दिन नहीं खाएगा, 2 दिन नहीं खाएगा, तीसरे दिन तो खा ही लेगा.
Hmm. Uh, so, a random question, a little connected but not very connected to the whole thing. So, what is it that you fear at all?
This is my dear one.
I don't know. I am just asking because if there is no, I mean, the way you take in your experiences so far are very natural, very letting go kind of thing.
So I am usually a random person. I do not plan much. I am okay to go. Even when I put my itineraries, they know that वहां जाने के बाद कुछ ना कुछ तो आगे पीछे होने वाला है. मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि हम आइटनरी फॉलो करेंगे. And I have space in my itineraries also. There will be one extra day for sure. So I leave that space. So I am a very random person as such, and I feel that what people fear is, मतलब usually what I also used to fear is death. I mean, ultimate fear for everybody is death, or there are many other fears also, but that's the ultimate death I used to think. And फिर मुझे ऐसा लगने लगा कि if it has to come, it can come anywhere, right? I mean, it can come here also, and it can come on a mountain also. So just fearing that, I would not stop myself doing anything. Of course, I will take the basic precautions. I would just not go random. Basic precautions, yes, with kids. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be very finicky about it because I think बहुत ज्यादा लॉजिक में जाते हैं ना तो मैजिक लूज हो जाता है. तो बहुत ज्यादा नहीं सोचना चाहिए. Something you should just let go. And I think this wisdom, or I wouldn't say wisdom, this thought or this jnanodayam came to me only after I almost migrated to Canada and I came back, because until then I used to think that I am the queen of my destiny and I can shape my destiny. I really can, I can design my life. मैं जो चाहे मैं कर सकती हूँ. And more times that I used to live so much in stress because I wanted to control so many things. तो मुझे हर चीज का स्ट्रेस होता था. फिर जब मैंने लेट गो कर दिया कि हाँ भाई होना है तो होगा. Simple thing like when I put up an itinerary also in the group, that this is the itinerary, and then people contact जिसको आना है वो आएगा. I don't think too much. I don't brood too much over it. There are so many trips that they don't turn up and I cancel it because of course that's how I fund my trips. So if they don't turn up, then I'm like ठीक है जो हुआ अच्छे के लिए हुआ होगा इसके पीछे भी कुछ तो होगा. So the moment I let loose is when I came at peace. I am okay with what is happening. For that I don't stop trying. I keep trying, but then I don't get attached to the result. I'm like if it has to happen, it will happen.
Canada is too expensive to get this wisdom, so I'll take it from you while you are here on the Zoom call. Just want to specify so that my listeners don't get this idea of कि अरे बाप रे रहने देते हैं, ये तो बहुत महंगा है. Jokes aside, this is a very nice vibe you got about yourself in terms of letting go, and I haven't seen that in a long time. We've become more quote unquote developed and richer. Supposedly, I think only a section of us have who are already privileged. We become more privileged, and the rest of them are. To give you an example, there was a time when I had tried to go get some clients from the Middle East, thinking that I'll do a great job in getting clients and I do good work. So I've been an advertising writer. In those days, I was running my own agency. Uh, so I'd gone to Dubai in particular, and I was moving around. Dubai is, if you've ever seen it, maybe other Western countries are also like that, but Dubai is the only place that I have been to out of India, and everything is larger than life. Like everything is a 150-story building and 110 floors, and the malls don't end, and you're dying. When you're dying, you want to sit. There is no place to sit because the mall doesn't seem to end. Mane, if you were to leave me, then I wouldn't know how to come out of the damn thing. मतलब इतना मतलब there is I will use a phrase that Ustad Zakir Hussain had used for US. He says too much too soon, and I thought it was a beautiful phrase, and it's so I felt miserable. Mane, all my friends, whoever were there, the ones that I met who had gone there for work, and they were so happy to see me. ऐसा लगा कि अरे बाप रे इतना इज्जत तो कभी इंडिया में मिला ही नहीं. And they came and sat and we had dinner and they were मतलब they just didn't cry. And I kept thinking मतलब ऐसा क्या है माने मतलब I'm just talking normal things and we are but they were so happy and before you go let's meet again and this and that, but they didn't have time. They had stupid phrases like कि हाथ मिलाओ तो उंगली गिनना इधर कोई ले लेगा because everybody is here to con you. I didn't succeed well. I've been a bad businessman most of my life. So there is no big deal about that part because I मतलब प्यार में हो जाता है अरे आपको कुछ करना है चल करते हैं देखेंगे तो उसी में I enjoy the whole thing because any which ways I feel कि it's given to me. मैंने ऐसा क्या खास कर लिया मैंने I used to love reading books. That's why I got a love of language and then that's how I became a writer and that's how I continue doing something or the other connected to words, including the podcast for that matter. Uh, in this whole developed, oh, we've got here, and we've become smaller. Something has become so constrained and tight, and yeah, let's control this also. You mentioned that before you went to Canada, you were that kind of person, or almost that kind of person. If you could help us understand what is that point in Canada that happened where you said कि यार भाड़ में जाए सब कुछ. Was there anything which made you feel that suffering to the core of it, whatever the discomfort was? If there is any story there, I would love to hear it.
Like there was no connection, and I realized that people are not really happy staying there. They would still want to come back to India, but the only thing that they fear is वापस आए तो फिर से ट्रैफिक में रहना पड़ेगा. तो वो ये होता है ना कि एक बार तुम्हें बंगले की आदत हो गई तो वापस कुटिया में आना थोड़ा सा तकलीफ होता है, पर वो जो कुटिया का मजा है ना वो बिल्कुल मिलता है क्योंकि मजा तो वहीं पे है, यादें तो वहीं पे है. तो I mean, it's a very what do you दो धारी तलवार है या टू साइडेड लाइफ है मुझे नहीं पता क्या है एंड माय भाभी she told me one thing that जब मुझे इंडिया का सिटीजनशिप देना पड़ा भाई मुझे इतनी दुख हुआ मतलब इतना दुख हुआ कि पूछो मत मतलब वो सुन के भी मुझे ऐसा लगा समथिंग इज जस्ट स्लिपिंग अवे एंड आई डोंट वांट टू मतलब इतना तो क्या करना है I really didn't want to do that, which is why I say that when I went there, I had my Swadesh moment. Only when you go there and when you listen to them is when you understand that, things are not all rosy over there. They still yearn to come back here. And yeah, I mean, that I think that was it. And when I came back, I came back, I was still in two minds, if I would say. And then my uncle expired. मैं जो भाई के साथ थी, my cousin, his dad expired. After me coming in just couple of days, in 20 days. He took a day to come. His sister took 2 days to come because one was in Vancouver Island, one was in Toronto. वो आना चाहे तो भी नहीं अब. And then he was lying there for 3 days, and then we did all the last rites and everything. And then they kept talking about, our child misses the grandparents connection. जो मुझे लगता है इसीलिए I always feel that the village that we grew up in is so missing. Even though I was not in a village, I was staying in Dombivli in a four-story building. That was the village we had. That was still a village because all doors used to be open. I knew who was staying. Everybody knew me. We were like family. But now my next door neighbor might not even know. I mean, it's an irony that, when I was 8 months pregnant with my second child, I was opening the door. She looked at me and she was like, "Oh, good news है." I was like, "Good news अभी बाहर आने वाला है." I feel like, the good news is about to come out now. And she didn't even know. I mean, imagine staying in a world like this where we're staying next door, but still so disconnected. तो अभी बच्चे इंटरकॉम में पूछते हैं मैं तेरे घर पे आऊँ हम तो नीचे से चिल्लाते थे मतलब I feel that connection. I really miss that. We used to just barge into our cousin's place. That was weekend for us. We never sat and planned weekends. Who planned weekends? Weekends was just to go, एक cousin के दूसरे घर में जाओ, vacations नानी के घर जाओ. Vacations was not going outside to. So I really miss that. My parents stay with me, so my kids do not have a nanny's house to go to. It's a small family. I'm the only child. My cousins are abroad. My husband's brother, he is in Canada. So there is nobody, and that was my first priority when I thought of moving abroad because I wanted to be connected in the family. But I thought that वहाँ पे जाके भी लोग disconnected. So then I made friends who are like family over here. I think that was the next best thing I could do.
The thought running in my head is कि are you for real or what? भूल ही गया हूँ मैं तो ऐसा कोई मिलता भी है ऐसे लोग भी होते हैं माने
Again, I would tell you to the extent it's not like, I mean, everybody was shocked when I came back from Canada because I have been trying for this for the last 10 years. My husband had severe anxiety. We had to go to the psychiatrist, imagine. I went to Dr. Hari Shetty. I mean, if you know, he's a very famous psychiatrist. So he's telling me, Beta, why do you want to go to Canada? यहाँ पे नीचे जाओगे इडली वड़ा मेदू वड़ा सब मिलेगा तुमको कनाडा में कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला बहुत काम करना पड़ेगा क्यों जाना है तुमको बट आई वेंट अगेंस्ट एवरीथिंग आई वाज लाइक आई विल एटलीस्ट गिव इट अ ट्राई इफ इट डजंट वर्क इट डजंट वर्क so when I came back everybody was like what you fought so much for this and you went and then you're coming back I'm like yes now at least I don't have that guilt right that I didn't try so kabhi I mean that's what I live by I shouldn't regret something I'm okay I've lost so much money matlab like you said you're a bad businessman I've lost so much money in life मतलब सिर्फ कनाडा के पीछे हमने कम से कम 15-20 लाख डाले रहेंगे ये इसको दो उसको दो we did a lot of things because things were not easy I mean we were like what 35 plus when we were trying so of course we had to do a lot of juggles but I was like it's okay money can always come back so it has always been secondary
is intellect a friend or a An enemy.
Intellectual friend or an enemy? Enemy.
How did you conquer the enemy?
No, I thought you're asking if I would let
So
this.
you said, so I'll give you the context now. So if intellect, my understanding is कि if you're too intelligent, you try to prove that you are intelligent to others and yourself most of the time, and then you have these fancy ways of proving it to yourself, like planning for 10 years to go to some place that might give you something that you are being told not to not to expect. When happiness comes from having idli vada, so obviously that should be your choice, but that doesn't happen because you are intelligent. You're supposed to do the better thing, and the better thing is the developed thing, and the better country, and better lifestyle. And even if I were to uh, include your relatives were there, so you have some kind of family setup. Having said that, it is still controlling things, like you said in one of your past answers. But well, here you are doing stupid things and enjoying it. So you got to give us the mantra. What helps you make the jump?
For
Uh,
me, I think it
yeah.
was less about being intelligent, but मुझे ना ज़्यादा FOMO था like, is what I realized now. Because I was the only child, and I always yearned for my relatives and my cousins because they were the only family I had to hold on to. Because सगा तो कोई भाई बहन है नहीं, and वो ज़माने में everybody had at least one or two you know real siblings, and also because we were not well to do financially compared to our relatives. They always used to think that I'm looked down upon, and I have to prove something to the world. And that is how networking, I pulled it off for 8 long years because I thought that it would take me to a platform where I can also prove it to them that I am something. Because मेरे जो younger cousins थे, they were doing well than me. Because see, I went into a very unconventional path. I didn't do my 12th when I was, let's say, in year 2000. Not everybody had the guts not to do your 12th. I didn't do my 12th. I directly went into fashion designing after my 10th. So it was, and being a Tambram, it was not a very conventional thing to do. Being a fashion designer, usually you are an engineer or a doctor or an MBA. I mean, in my entire life, I haven't come across anyone who was a fashion designer and a family. I think there are very few, and I'm yet to meet somebody like that. So I was always about, going about proving it to them that I am something. I am also there. Please include me also. वो चीज बहुत थी मुझे. I was nowhere. I missed this inclusivity. And maybe I missed that respect also. And which is why I was doing so many things in life so that they would include me. Of course, it wasn't very clear or, ऐसा नहीं कि बहुत ललिता बाबा जैसा दुर्व्यवहार होता था मेरे साथ. But small things I used to just feel that if somebody is giving expensive gifts, I am not able to reciprocate in the same way. That is also something which used to hurt me. तो मेरे लिए वो ज्यादा होता था. But when I came out of that shell of being comfortable with myself and my identity, that this is who I am, and वो जब एक पीस कर लिया ना कि जिसको जितना मिलना है लाइफ में उतना ही मिले, ना उससे ज्यादा ना उससे कम. तो फिर मैं किस चीज के पीछे भाग रही हूँ और मैं किसको प्रूव कर रही हूँ, उनको तो पड़ी भी नहीं है.
Was it a true story at all? Or was it something you told yourself?
What I told myself, it was because how I looked at them. They never did that to me. But I had this in my head. I had
Yes.
so I lost because so I went to an English medium school, but then I couldn't speak in English because we used to all speak in Hindi. Then I suddenly went to Sophia. So I used to stay in Dombivli, and then I went to Sophia, which was in Pedder Road, and people come from Marine Lines and Walkeshwar, and people talk like top-notch English, and I could talk in English. I lost a year because of the inferiority complex. I couldn't make friends. After 2 months, I told my mom, I cannot go here. I have no friends at all. And I was barely 15 or 16 after my 10th. So I had this major inferiority complex in me, and which is why I felt that people are looking at me like that. But actually, they were not. And the same people, when they come now, I mean, now is the season that, all NRIs are coming. Tomorrow also I have to go somewhere where my cousin is coming from US and somebody else is coming from UK. And when I meet them, then I don't feel dejected or I don't feel depressed because I know that I am living a full life here. I am not comparing myself to the kind of life they are enjoying or which I thought that they will enjoy. तो वो जब मुझसे निकल गया ना तो then I was at peace. I am okay.
Uh, एक इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन है यहाँ जो मुझे मेरे जहन में कभी आया नहीं इस तरीके से, बट अभी इस तरीके से पहली बार, बिकॉज ऑफ व्हाट यू सेड इन द एंड, कि when they come now and you feel at peace with yourself and whatever rapport is there. So my question is possible both of you are right? माने वो उधर खुश है, माने everybody chooses their level of difficulty.
Yes, everybody chooses their priorities and their challenges. They wanted those challenges. Maybe I wanted these challenges. In my mind, I always felt that maybe I was too Indian to move out also. Because मतलब हाँ मतलब मुझे लगता है मैं बहुत ज्यादा देती थी बस वो फोमो की वजह से वो मेरे पे इतना हावी हो गया ना कि आई couldn't because today also when I hear these songs or I go to the borders I've gone to Kargil या जो भी दूसरे बॉर्डर जैसे वॉर मेमोरियल्स जाते हैं I get goosebumps. I really get goosebumps. So I mean, even when I have to say Jana Gana Mana, ऐसे में अगर Independence Day है, Republic Day है, when I'm standing and singing it in front of the Tiranga, I also get emotional sometimes.
Yes.
So I feel that मैं कहाँ जा रही थी मतलब मैं बहुत जगह देखती हूँ मैं नहीं जा सकती I wouldn't be happy over there if they are happy over there please good for them it's just the choices that you make but what I feel is I could be wrong, but मुझे लगता है we have sold the American dream so much that people are paying through their nose just to be there. ये भी हो रहा है. And if somebody is realizing, I know that many people are realizing and coming back also. But I feel sorry for them who are realizing, but they feel that no, वो नहीं करना चाहिए. If you are happy there, please. I mean, good for you.
Uh, how does your because this is quite a journey that you've mapped out. How does your hubby manage to stay with your? Well, this is not an easy journey. You did say that he got stressed and anxious at some point. Uh, and while you may be Indian, you are not the submissive Indian for sure. मैंने आपने बैटल्स चूज कर लिए कि 16 साल में ये बैटल है, 25 में ये है, 50 में ये है, 40 में ये है, वॉट एवर. So it takes obviously you are a wonderful human being in terms of choosing and saying the truth to yourself. That I find is the rarest of rare qualities that most people don't even define their battles. So when you are saying that these other guys who realize but don't take the decision, no, they tell themselves no such story exists. If you bring this up, they stop talking to you. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. And I don't blame them. Again, I said it's a question of survival. You have to tell yourself stories to move forward. But my question is, well, you are married and you've had a journey, you've had kids. How does your spouse see this? And what does he bring into the picture or get affected by?
Background. He's always been in the background.
Acha.
He's okay. So he is the kind of person who will not plan things and who is not okay with taking up challenges. We are complete opposites. I mean, he will not take risks. Let's say business karna hai. Nahin, he is somebody who will walk the very traditional path. But he has been okay with whatever I choose. So he is okay with what you do. But yes, because Canada involved all of us together, then he had his palpitations going up and everything. Like when I quit my job, people ask, you have these discussions that, okay, what is your husband going to say about it? I mean, when I talk professionally also, I have had a journey. I mean, I started with fashion, then I quit that, then I went to the networking. So he was okay. I mean, as long as you're doing it and you're happy or whatever, you should be okay with it. If you're okay, then please do it. So he's been quite supportive that way. Even in the travel, he's not able to, of course, travel everywhere with us because of his office. But in a year, we plan at least 2 trips wherein, I ask him where you want to travel and then we plan it accordingly. So then it's been quite all right.
He's an empowered husband. I like saying this because ये टर्म तो मैंने भी कभी बोला नहीं. अच्छा है. Uh, it's such a fascinating chat with you, and I would want to say a lot of things about the way you answered these questions and brought up stories and perspectives which need to be spoken. One of the reasons why I started the podcast was that stories that don't get told about vulnerability, about uh, sensitivity, about things that affect us so strongly are not being told. It was very early in the podcasting journey that I started saying this to myself and others that this is the legacy I want to leave in the world. That there are voices that need to be heard by voices that need to hear them. I am just one guy who happens to be a typical advertising agency. 15% कमीशन लेके काम कर रहा है. यहाँ तो कमीशन भी नहीं. यहाँ तो the happiness of hosting people like you is a joy. But more than all of that, I would want to say that this humanity that you bring to your journey is a rarity. It doesn't happen as loudly and as proudly and uh, as much with understanding as you have put it out here. And I really want to thank you for that.
Thank you so much for having me and बहुत अक्सर अक्सर ऐसे होता है ना that you want to talk a lot but there's nobody asking you the right questions. I mean, so और वो जब ऐसा भी होता है कि जब वो तार छिड़ता है and then everything just flows.
Yes.
So you have actually, hit the right chord everywhere, and it's been an amazing, insightful chat.
Thank you so much. I shall see you soon. We will have conversations on perhaps other things as well. I didn't even ask the basic question of how do you arrange all these things, but I am quite happy with the rest of it. The mind space has been so wonderful, and I think we've spoken for a long time now in terms of people having attention to watch content. We shall speak again, and thank you so much. I shall see you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you.